In this video, we will discuss quantity takeoffs. If you'd like to follow on with this video, please open the file quantitytakeoff.dwg located in the training folder as discussed in the Working with this Dataset video. You can add quantities to your drawings using Civil 3D's QTO Manager to apply pay items to AutoCAD Civil 3D objects or regular AutoCAD objects. Incorporating pay item information correctly into design plans, including plan sheets, summaries, and bid documents, is a major task for designers. You can use the QTO Manager functionality to automate the pay item process to reduce those errors. Pay items can be associated to AutoCAD lines, open or close polylines, blocks, or any AutoCAD or Civil 3D object after they have been created. When pay items are assigned to AutoCAD Civil 3D code set styles, a corridor object is automatically assigned those specified pay items, as well as any Civil 3D pipe network parts list that you associate pay items to. Those pipe and structures will automatically be tagged as well. The QTO Manager is located in the Analyze tab, QTO Panel, and then we have QTO Manager. In the panorama window, you will get the QTO Manager tab, which contains a pay item file that will be loaded into your drawing. So that's the first step that you actually need to do. Click on the Open drop-down menu and select Open Pay Item File. This drawing already contains the Florida DOT's pay item file associated to it. The file is located in the Datasets folder. Let's navigate to that folder. If you navigate to C:/Civil 3D Projects, Learning AutoCAD Civil 3D Infinite Skills, the References folder, you will see that there is a AECmerge.xml file. This contains all the pay items for the Florida Department of Transportation's pay item list. Then we have the Florida Categories.xml file, which is a category file which will categorize all of these pay items. There's also an additional file called the Formula file, which contains formulas such as square yards, cubic yards, as well as many custom formulas that you may use when you quantify your objects in your file. Let's first go ahead and talk about the code set styles and the parts lists that you can automate for quantity takeoff. In the Settings tab, General Category, Multi-Purpose Styles, Code Set Styles, the Code Set Style is where you can automate some of your pay item quantities. I have a quarter model in this file with the visualization code set style associated to it. I'll go ahead and edit this, and what you'll notice is that in the different categories that you can apply quantities to, these are the link and point codes. You cannot apply quantities to shape codes. If I go to the link code, you'll notice that in this code set style called Sidewalk, I have 0522-2 as a pay item defined for it. To associate a pay item to a specific code, simply click on the little truck icon here. From the list here, you can click the plus sign. Notice that in here, I can do a search by simply typing in the name of the pay item that I want. It could be the number or a description. It searches both. And then you can navigate to that specific pay item and then simply attach it. Note, you can actually apply multiple pay items to an entity to get multiple quantities that you may need. I'll cancel out of this. Let's go ahead and look at the parts list. So as I navigate down to the pipe network parts list category, let's go ahead and look at storm sewer. In the storm sewer parts list, I have the pipes and structures tab, and within each tab, you can define specific quantity items that you want to apply to these entities. They will automatically get tagged with this item. Again, simply by clicking the add button right here, I can navigate to the specific pay item that I want to associate to this part when it gets placed in the drawing. There are certain things that you will need to do after the quarter object is created. For instance, I have a linear feature within my quarter model, let's say top of curb, that I want to actually apply a pay item to. So I'm going to select my quarter object and go to the quarter properties. And because this is a linear feature, I can't really use the point or link code as it will not apply a linear calculation to that type of object. So within the feature lines category, let me go ahead and sort this by codes. You'll notice that I can either select back of curb or probably top of curb. Either one will give us the same exact length. And then in the pay item, I'm going to actually select the truck icon. And then within this field here, I'll type in curb and press enter. And I'll navigate down to my pay items. And I will notice that the curbs list has been narrowed down to the ones that I want. And I want the type F curb. Notice how the formula automatically shows you the type of formula that will be applied. This is reading the formula file. If let's say you want to overwrite that formula, you can simply click on here, and then you can go in and actually edit the parameters and change a different formula. To look up the different expressions that you can put in there to automate your quantities, simply click the help and you'll see the syntax you need to type in here. I'll click OK. that pay item is now associated to the back of curb. Click OK to update the corridor model. Let's press Escape to clear my selection set, and let's look how to actually apply some pay items to regular standard AutoCAD objects. So within my panorama window, I'm going to actually turn Auto Hide off so we can keep this up. And the way that this works within the QTO Manager tab, right-click on any of the items that you want to assign to regular AutoCAD objects. You also have these icons, which allow you to add, remove, and append different pay items too. You can also edit pay items on specified objects. If you make this a little bit bigger, you'll notice that there are some additional options as well here, which allow you to simply highlight objects within the drawing, and so on. So the first thing we want to do is apply a pay item to our guardrail in our drawing. So let's go ahead and zoom into our guardrail over here. I also have some end treatments as well. So first, let's type in the word guardrail within my QTO Manager, press Enter, and you will then notice that the list is narrowed down so you can go in and actually apply guardrail. So this is guardrail on the right side. So I want to actually select this one here, and I'm going to right-click and then assign pay item. Notice the command line window says select object. I simply need to select that object. I could keep going here, but that's the only one that I have. Press Enter, and now if I hover my mouse over this object, you will notice the tooltip applies the pay item to it, which is really cool to see. So now that I've applied the guardrail, I can now look in this list here as it already says guardrail, and I can go in and find the end treatment that I need. So I have a melt, which is a modified eccentric load terminal, and I'll right-click on this, and we'll say assign pay item, and I will select that object, and I also have one at the end here, and let's go ahead and zoom in, and let's select this object as well. If I want to see what objects in my file have this pay item selected to them, I can also simply right-click on this, select object with pay item, and notice how it selects those entities for me and even updates the properties palette so I can see what actual objects I have selected. I now want to apply some pay items to some proposed tree blocks that I have in my drawing here. Let me turn Auto Hide off temporarily, and let's zoom into this location here. So what I'll do is I will select one, right-click, select similar, so I can do this all at once. And now what I'll do is in here, let's just simply clear this. I'll press Enter. And I happen to know, without having to do any searching, that I can just simply navigate to the landscape area, which I have grassing, seeding, sodding, etc. here. And the quantity item is these large plants complete. So I'm going to right-click on this, assign pay item, and notice how it automatically does it because I created the selection set first. If I press Escape and then hover, you'll notice that that pay item is applied to that object. If I want to add this as a favorite, because I do use this a lot, I can right-click on this, Add to Favorites list. And then that will be applied to my favorites, which is located at the top of the list. So I can expand this, and there's my favorites. So let's say I want to apply an area in my drawing for a specific quantity. So I'm going to isolate my layer here. So I'll go to the Home tab, and then I'll go to Isolate Layer. And let's go ahead and isolate this layer right here. So I've got this closed area, and of course this will actually work with objects that aren't necessarily closed, and it'll actually flood the file with that. I'll type in clearing, and then I'll look for that specific quantity. So here's my clearing and grubbing. I'm going to right-click on this and select Assign Pay Item to Area. I can then click in the file. Notice how it automatically floods the file, finds the closed areas, and then I can press Enter. I can freeze this layer if I don't want to use this or plot this layer, of course, but it can still be used to do a quantity takeoff. And notice how I've got that quantity takeoff already done for me. Let's go ahead and do a layer previous. Once you've assigned all your pay items, if you'd like to see all the pay items applied in your drawing, you can go to the Highlight Objects with Selected Pay Items, and it will actually highlight them for you within the file. So let's go ahead and turn that off. And now what we're going to do is actually do some quantity takeoff. So let's turn Auto Hide off there, go to the Analyze tab, and then in the QTO panel, we have Takeoff. So right here, you have some options where you can actually limit the extents to a certain alignment station range. You can report on selected pay items only if I wanted to actually select those objects, and even give a detailed report where I could just pick specific entities. We'll just compute the entire drawing. Click Compute, and typically you start out with this interface first, where you get this XML file. And what you want to actually do then is change the format to a summary of some sort. So you can do a summary of HTML, you can do a summary within a text file, and then you can actually select this text and then copy and paste it. You can also place it in the drawing. Probably what you're going to do is select all this text, copy it into Excel, and then add in your actual cost to get your engineering estimate. I'll click Draw here, and this will actually place this in the file as a takeoff report.